Empowering farmers with intelligence. EFL Ag Data presents to you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the EFL Ag Data Podcast, where we bring you the latest trends and updates in the feed and livestock industry. And today, we are taking a closer look at the Philippine swine sector and its ongoing challenges, especially with African swine fever. And of course, with us to help unpack all this is our resident expert, Matthew Clark. Thank you for your time being here.
Hi, Alvin. It's great to be here again. Thank you.
All right, Matthew. So today we are focusing on the Philippine swine sector and its ongoing battle against the disease that has wreaked havoc across the country, African swine fever. And this disease has, really a big headache. It's really a big headache for our pig farmers in the Philippines and what havoc it brought. And maybe you can help us break it down and how severe is the situation right now?
It's a very severe situation, Alvin, and ASF has been a complete catastrophe for the Philippine swine industry. Now, as of August 21st, the disease has spread to 74 out of the country's 82 provinces. That's a large coverage of the disease. And as of September, there were 472 barangays. These are the smallest units in the country, classified as red zones due to the active infections.
Well, 74 out of the 82 provinces in the Philippines. It's actually quite a lot. And we've heard that some provinces are actually faring better than the others in terms of recovery with the current situation. For example, we have Iloilo. Actually, they have made some strides in the recovery. But places like Batangas, for example, which in the Philippines is considered to be one of the biggest producers, they're still grappling of the effect of the virus. And in fact, in August, they have declared a state of calamity because of the situation. But I'd like us to get into the big news in recent months, which is the rollout of the ASF vaccine. And maybe, Matthew, can you tell us what's the development on that situation?
Well, it is big news. The Philippine government decided to roll out the AVAC vaccine to combat the ASF with initial doses, I think 150,000 doses coming in from Vietnam. They've prioritized Batangas that you mentioned. There's 10,000 doses specifically earmarked for Batangas. And the decision to deploy this vaccine is out of sheer desperation. We have to do something, this is something, therefore we have to do it. That's what's going on here. ASF outbreaks have severely disrupted the local pork distribution, with about 7.6% increase in local pork imports to cover the shortfall in the pork during the first half of this year. So a big impact and a big action from the government.
You mentioned about pork imports, and I would like us to talk about that for a second. The increase in pork imports is a clear sign of how the local production is struggling to keep up with the demand. According to recent reports, pork prices and even chicken prices have surged. And perhaps you can tell us, why is this happening?
Well, let's take a look at the numbers first. The price of pork bellies in Metro Manila, they've gone up by about 10%. The shoulder cuts have gone up by 18%. And chicken prices have been spiking, with retail prices up to 240 pesos per kilo. So they're very high pricing. So these prices, they're a direct consequence of a constriction in supply. Remember, meat is relatively inelastic in terms of supply-demand relationship. So it's not just pork that is affected, it's other things as well. So the ripple effect of shortage of pork has spread over into the poultry industry as people make a switch to a different meat, and all the prices come up together. And of course, this adds to the inflationary pressures that are going on in the households in the Philippines. It's very tough on the supply side now.
Yeah, actually, these price surge and price increase are not good news for consumers, especially the holiday season is coming up. Christmas season is a big part of the Philippine culture. And with these prices, yeah, I can only imagine the headache as well for the consumers with those kinds of prices. Yeah.
Yeah, it's also politically unpopular. When the whole country is experiencing food prices going up, you call to the politicians. We've looked at a desperate act as a description of the ASF vaccine rollout. It's one of those we must do something reactions.
Exactly. Going back to the vaccine, where this gets a little bit controversial, if we may say. The AVAC vaccine uses live attenuated virus, which means that it's made from a weakened virus or weakened version of the virus to stimulate an immune response. But Matthew, there are concerns from what I know about the risks associated with live vaccine. Could you help elaborate on that?
Yes. The issue with live attenuated vaccines is that under certain conditions, it is possible that the virus could mutate back to a stronger form. Possible that it could mutate back to a stronger form. But we've been using live attenuated viruses for 40 years in the chicken sector and also in the pig sector. They are a common feature of our industry. They're very closely controlled at the source where the vaccines are produced. So Vietnam, unfortunately, has not been particularly transparent with their trial data. This is maybe a concern. The U.S. Department of Agriculture's APHIS system, they withdrew regulatory exclusions for the ASF strain. They were citing potential threats to animal health. We need to keep this very closely monitored. I'm sure it will be. But the basic risk of a backward mutation to a virulent form, history has shown it to be low. However, we must maintain our guard against it. Yeah.
Yeah, true. And we haven't even talked about the effectiveness of the vaccine. Are there really indicators of success that this vaccine really works?
Well, it's still up for debate. It's very early days, and getting the vaccine rolled out, getting it distributed properly. Now, according to experts, it takes about 7 to 14 days to get 40% immune response, and you need 28 days to get up to the 95% response that we need. So that's with ASF negative pigs. However, during initial trials, 5 out of 41 vaccinated hogs reportedly died. We have to be concerned about that, yeah. So authorities claim that the deaths are due to unrelated pulmonary diseases, but we've got to keep an eye on the risks for sure.
Yeah. So you could say even with the vaccine, it sounds like there's a lot that needs to be done to protect the industry. What will be your advice then to stakeholders, to farmers in the livestock sector?
Right. Remember, ASF is extremely virulent. It spreads very, very quickly, and it's a very deadly virus. So when we're dealing with a serious outbreak like this, we need a multi-tiered approach. That means we don't look at one magic bullet to solve the problem. We look at all the different layers. So the advice, the urging to farmers is maintain strict biosecurity wherever possible. We talked about diversifying protein sources also. That's a possibility, but I would put on the top of it mitigating as many risks as possible throughout the whole chain, because look at the number of provinces affected. It's a catastrophe in the making. Yeah.
Great insights as always, Matthew. It's clear that the path to recovery will take time, and of course a coordinated effort with government, with the farmers, and everything involved. And yeah, thanks for breaking it down for us.
It's always a pleasure, Alvin. Thanks for having me on the show.
And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the EFL Ag Data Podcast. If you enjoyed that discussion, please do subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us in our LinkedIn and Facebook page. And stay informed, stay resilient. Until next time.